Hi, everyone, and welcome to this of the first Lightning Talks for WIP. That's VIP, but with a W, so it's WARP important person. That's our premium membership. So the people watching now probably premium members. If you're not, you're welcome to join. Just head to the website warpinstitute.org. You can sign up there. The first month is free. So we're gonna do Lightning Talks today. So we have 3 speakers doing a maximum of 5 minutes. They're going to teach us something they are experts in. And like I said, they only have 5 minutes to do it. And afterwards, if you're a WIP member, we're doing a Q&A and with the speakers on Zoom. So you have a link in the comments. If you're part of WIP, you have it in the Facebook group. So we'll share it there with you. So I hope to see you on Zoom afterwards. You can watch it now directly in the Zoom also if you want to watch together with other people. So we have 3 speakers. They're going to talk about a secret necessity in life. So you're going to see what that necessity is. They're going to talk about Earth observation, satellites and Earth observation, and how that is necessary for a sustainable future. And also, they're going to talk about James Bond and how James Bond made the future come sooner. So all of that coming up in 5 minutes each for the speakers. So let's start with the first one. So we're heading right away into space. So I'm welcoming Christer Andersson. Please take it away. Take us to space, Christer.
Thank you very much, Matthias. Happy to be here. My name is Christer Andersson. I have a background in Earth observations in energy. But I also am a physicist, and I like to measure things, measure the nature, measure the society in X, Y, Z and time. And I see images as measurements in time and space. And measurements give you information, and information is the new oil, as you all know. And that gives you power to do good or not, or bad. I will start with making a bold statement, and that is that Earth observation will be one of the key technologies that give us a future, and sustainable future, and a very important part of the civil society today. And the reason for me saying that is, first, Earth observation is the only and unique way to measure the globe as a whole, and do that both in detail and as a very huge overview. All other measurement will give you point measurements, and Earth observation will fill in the gaps. Earth observation will furthermore give you a health status depending on how you make the interpretation of the image. But it will give health status both of society and the nature. And finally, it will also give you a view of the globe in time. You can go back in time and see and compare what the status is today. On top of this, and we have a vast change in the globe today. The global climate change is just one part of it. I have seen tens of thousands of images and seen the effect of human on the globe, and its effect every square meter on the globe, I can assure you. So what we are talking about today is a new geological era, the Anthropocene. And that will mean a lot further on how we should handle this. I mean, the question is, should we stop this change? Should we reverse it? Or should we go in another direction? Of course, this is a political decision, and it's a decision for all of us. But if you want to take a decision, you need to have a prediction. What happens if we do this change? You have to predict what will happen. And then you need to know, where are we today? And in what direction are we heading? So we're back to measurements. And observation gives us this tool to measure. The third thing I think it's important when it comes to Earth observation is that this is possible today. 10, 20 years ago, this was science fiction, to do a near real-time monitoring of the whole globe. But it's possible today. And I would say it's three trends that do this possible. The first one is the small subtle revolution. It gives us an access that is unprecedented today. There is a lot of satellites out there, and it will become more. And it's driven partly by the new business that guys like Elon Musk is creating. The other trend is the digital data. All this data, all these measurements are digital data. And as fast as information is digital, it will grow exponentially. And today we can clearly see this when it comes to the data. They are less and less pricey. Most of them are free for everyone to access. And the third trend is the artificial intelligence, machine learning. We need to have that type of technology to make an interpretation of all these data, to handle them, to sort them, and to see, for instance, give alerts. You have to have a machine learning process that go through all these data and give it an alert or an aggregated prediction. And if we combine all these three trends, we will have an information tool that is incredible. And we will be able to measure where we are and predict where we are heading, depending on the decision. So the Earth observation will in the future give us a well-informed decision information, and will it make it possible to handle this new era, this new geological Anthropocene era, and make it a good place, a sustainable place. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Christer. And next up now is Torun Öhman. She's going to tell us about a secret necessity in life. What is that? Torun? Go ahead.
Hydraulics. Okay, so am I live now? Okay, so my name is Torun. I work for a company called HyNet with technical sales of cartridges that are used in hydraulic systems. And I often get quite a blank stare when I say that I work with hydraulics. So I'm going to use these few minutes to just very briefly explain what it is. It is based on, the modern hydraulics is based on Pascal's discoveries. He was a French mathematician born in 1623, and he formed a principle of how pressure work and act in a closed system with fluids in it. And the short way to explain it is that pressure is distributed evenly in the whole system. So if you add pressure somewhere, it will go to the whole enclosed system. So this means that it is a great way to transport energy from an energy source, for example, a pump or an engine, to where the force and power is needed, the actuator. And this can, for example, be turning the wings of a wind turbine or the gear on an excavator. So this technology is a great way when you need to move heavy objects and do tasks that you need a lot of power for and a lot of force for. And it's still no workable alternative to do these things when you need this much force and power, speed and precision. So I'm just going to make a few examples, just a few of them where it's needed. For example, if you look around, all material you have around that's mineral or metal is probably you probably need to have hydraulics to mine it and to process it. Also, all agricultural sites and modern farming really need all the machines with the hydraulics in them to be efficient. Wind power, as I mentioned before. Also, our transport systems, for example, marine harbors, we will not be able to load and unload all the cargo that we transport every day. Also, the infrastructure we see around us is very dependent on building this. You also need all these heavy-duty machines that need hydraulics. For example, when you build houses or roads or railroads. So even though it's a very old technology, we do need it to create the everyday life that we have today. And also, as industries and machine manufacturers are combining this old hydraulic technology with new concepts and new technologies and ideas such as Internet of Things and smart systems, smart sensors, feedback loops. We are creating systems and machines and applications and functions that are a lot more efficient, a lot smarter, and cleaner and safer. So I have time to have just one example for where this really will make a difference. And today there are loads of tests and projects made to be able to remotely control these heavy-duty machines from a cockpit or a control center with a joystick, with the support of and guidance of cameras and sensors and these smart systems and feedback loops. And this means that we will soon be able to minimize people working in dangerous places, as these often are, for example, down in mines or up high in cranes. Also, it's often quite physically straining and very socially isolated to work, to be a machine operator. So this will be able for them to have a much safer work and a much warmth from an office. So this is just a brief example of how combining this will make a nice future for a lot of people. And there's, of course, a lot of more things to say about this, but this is just a short briefing of hydraulics and why it is important, and hopefully it will still be. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Torun. That was a surprise, as that was a necessity in life. Hydraulics is a necessity in life. So you learn a lot. Thank you very much for giving us this short talk and teaching us about this. Our next speaker, last speaker, that also has 5 minutes, is Per Söderström. He will talk about James Bond and how James Bond made the future come sooner. So we have to see you also, Per. We only see your beer.
WIP.
All right, good. Now we see you. So go ahead, take it away.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm going to talk about how James Bond, in the end of the 90s, about 98, supported the development of the telecoms industry. And it wasn't planned in that way. Ericsson, the Swedish telecoms company, was working against Nokia and against Motorola. Those were the 3 players on the market. And Ericsson needed a good campaign to reach out to all the retailers around the world. And just as we were looking for that, we got a phone call from London, from Eon Productions, and they said, Bond needs a phone. And Bond has always been ahead of things, and he always has cool stuff. And so we developed a part in the script, together with the production company, together with the technical people in Lund and Ericsson, and they developed the Bond phone. And it was handed to Bond by Q, in famous scene where Q gives all the cool stuff to Bond. And the first thing he did with it was he drove a BMW from, with a remote control. And so, I mean, there are a lot of engineers that had already thought about what was going to happen with 3G and maybe even 4G. At that time, it was only GSM. So this phone that he was handed included, fingerprint recognition. It had a trackpad. It had 4-color screen, which is unheard of at that time. It had movie streaming. It had a stun gun, and things that the engineers in Lund knew about that nobody else did. So we put it in the script, and he handled the phone several times in the movie. There were a lot of lawyers involved. There were a lot of product people and script people that were supporting the whole development of it, and it was very, very successful. And in the end, Ericsson did 55 countries marketing campaigns for that. But what we didn't know at that time was the effect that Bond was going to have on our perception of what telecom was going to do. So we did a presentation to the EU special unit, which was called DG maybe 23 or 22, who were taking decisions around the 3G introduction in Europe. And the showcase that Bond had was very, very good for them to see what is going to happen around the corner. And so in that way, Bond not only showed Ericsson's product in a global movie with hundreds of millions of people looking at it, it was a marketing support to Ericsson, but it also took the industry forward several steps by showing that these things can be done. And if you're interested later, we can talk a bit more about this little phone, which is obviously a model and doesn't work. Okay. So that was what I had to say about how Bond supported the development of the telecoms industry and made it come faster.
All right. Thank you very much, Per, for that. So now, if you're watching this live, you can join us on Zoom. You'll find the link in the WIP Facebook group. So you have the link there. You also have it on your email. We send it out. So you sign up for Eventbrite and join us on Zoom for a Q&A with the speakers. So with that, thank you to the 3 speakers, and thank you for watching this, the first of hopefully many WIP Lightning Talks. Thank you.